Hello everybody, this is Marco G here, Motorcycle Tips and Trips. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell a friend and share. So today we're covering what is the proper oil for a motorcycle. I want to change the oil on this motorcycle, but what's the proper one? There's two schools, and which one is right? Could we use the old convention motor oil versus motorcycle oil? So follow me and we'll cover that. Another thing you need to know about motorcycles, that when the motorcycles were invented in the late 1800s, they were dry clutches. Then in the early 1900s, Henry Shelby Heathshaw came up with the wet clutch, which helps a lot for motorcycles. Now today, some motorcycles do use a dry clutch, but the wet clutch is a whole lot better. You use the friction zone for slow speed maneuver. Taking off, you could ride the clutch. You won't burn it like a car. So there's a difference between the clutch, dry clutch, and the wet clutch. So follow me and we'll cover it some more. So yes, I know this is Suzuki Boulevard. All motorcycles about the same, changing the oil. You need to read the manual and make sure you're doing the proper procedure. It's not complicated, this is simple. Now some motorcycles have two chambers. This type, most motorcycle has one chamber. The oil that you put in the motor will be shared into the clutch area. So they both have the same, and that's one of the other reasons you got to make sure your oil is right, because your clutch depends on that oil. Now there are few motorcycles that have a split chamber, and if you don't know that, you could burn your clutch. Some will have two drain plugs, and you drain the plugs, and then you put it plugs back on, put the oil in the motor, and guess what? Your clutch is dry, and that has happened to many people. Just because I have two plugs don't mean it's a separate chamber. It's just they just do it, help it to drain out any particles that's left in the transmission that could drop out. And each plug has a magnet. So we're going to loosen this and drain, and then I will explain the rest while we wait for it to drain. Okay, so follow me. Okay, this is the drain plug right here. On Suzuki Boulevard, there's only one screw, one bolt, let's say, for a drain plug. That's all you have to do. When you tighten it, remember, don't over tighten it. Next over here, we have the oil filter, and we're going to loosen that up. Okay, I like using these pliers. It's just, to me, it's just easier. I can adjust it, bite it, and just enough to loosen it. And then I can put my hand in there and loosen the rest. Now, you could use any oil filter you like, whatever you prefer. The only thing I don't like is, I don't know if it's good or really bad, but the Fran is not my favorite. Fran's just, the end caps are made of cardboard, and I don't like that, which most motorcycles, they are metal, some kind of metal material. So I don't trust their filter, especially on a motorcycle. I don't like to take chances, risk like that. And okay, I got a Wix here, but they're all pretty basically good filters, but Fran is the one I don't trust. So we're going to go to that plug area. Okay, I made a little mess there. I wasn't paying attention and I knocked the filter out of the spot. Okay, that loosened that. And I gotta bring kitty litter. And here we go. And there we go with that. Okay, here we are. This is the bolt that's in the transmission. I can't get close here. I'm going to try to see if I can zoom it in. But I don't know if you can see, there is tiny medical particles, and that's a normal, that happens. Could be from the clutch or whatever, but wear and tear happens. But that magnet there is just so they could catch any metal, so shavings that's hanging around. Of course, you have the filter, and it'll go through the filter, but this will pre-catch that. So I don't know if you can see that there. So there's a little tiny stuff there, but so you get an idea. So follow me. Is there a difference between conventional oil and motorcycle oil? And there's two schools about it. Yes, there is a difference. And there's a reason why there's two schools. When they invented the motorcycles and the motors, they all used the conventional oil. And it worked for that time. Now time has changed, science has advanced, we have computers, we have tightened the motor tighter than it used to be. I remember when I was a kid, my father used to work on cars and we used to take them apart, and there was sludge and slush built in the motor. We had to scrape it, we had to clean it all that off because oils did that. So they start coming with detergents in the oil. I know Castro was one of them that came up with 2050, and everybody was using that for small vehicles. But they start realizing they had to add more detergents because the sludge problem. And then the temperature of the up north and the temperature down south, so they come with weights on the motorcycles, on the motor oil. When they had before, motor oil was just 30 weight. So now you have 530 like this one, 2050, 1040. It just depends which vehicle you have and what is required. But on that basis, because of all these chemicals that they put in there to keep the engine clean and everything, it affects the clutch on the motorcycle. These chemicals in time, not right away, in time will start wearing out the clutch. So your clutch start wearing out a whole lot quicker, and I rather have more ride time than working on my bike. So they came up with the motorcycle oil, and on this bike is required 10W40. But you need to look for 4T. And 4T is a motorcycle oil and is real good for these motorcycles. And really, if you smell these oils, you could tell the motorcycle oil smells just a little different than the regular conventional oil because the stuff they put in it. Also, on V-twins and on motorcycles, before the radiator time comes, they realize afterwards you need to put synthetic oil. And if you have a V-twin and no coolant, then you need to put synthetic, 100%. That is best for it. On this case, I could use the synthetic blend and works just fine because you have the radiant coolant, and that's it helps cool down as an assist to cool the engine. You still have to be moving. You cannot be idling. And even when I slow speed maneuver, you hear my fan running, and it starts acting kind of funny when it gets too warm. Then you know, hey, I got to get right around, cool it off. So a synthetic blend is all right with assist cool with the radiator, and then full synthetic for V engine or any non-motor without a cool. So there is a difference. I know I've heard old school that tell, yeah, this works. You know, yes, it will work. If I'm in an area and I need to add oil and there's no motorcycle oil, I'm putting motor oil in it. And get to my destination, get home, and then I change the oil and put back synthetics. Put that in the motorcycle oil because you don't want to burn. Now, this is Castro. I just use what's on sale, but brand name. I don't use no off-brand market, Walmart or all this stuff. I want to make sure I got something good for my motorcycle and to last. So follow me and let's continue this. Okay. What I'm doing here, I know it's on the slant, but I do pour oil in my filter one time because it's on the slant. And I allow it to get into the paper and behind the paper, and when I get ready to put on there, I put as quick as I can. But at least there's some oil already in there. So that's what I do. That's my choice. You don't have to, but I'm just letting lubricate this edge a little bit. And remember, when you tighten the bolt underneath, don't Donkey Kong it. Just tighten it. Once it stops, just maybe an 1/18 of an inch or very little. When you feel it stop, same thing with this. Don't over tighten this because it's hard to get off when it's over tightened. So it locks up in a way. So let's get this on. Okay, get the oil there. And these comes in quarts. Pour it down slowly, don't pour it fast. Also, when you put that oil filter, hand tighten it, don't crank it. Just hand tighten it where it stops, where you feel it finally you can't go any further, and that's all you need to do. Now this Boulevard requires 3.6 quarts, and to know where 6 is, I'm going to tell you my secret. You feel it to the line, the window where it says high, that's where you want. You don't want no more than that. You can have a little less, it could be in between, but I change the oil, I gotta make sure it's all the way up. Okay, I just put 3 quarts because that requires 3.6. So I'm just going to use the eye. But what I'm going to do after the 3 quarts, I'm going to crank it up so the oil fills up the oil filter, because if the oil filter don't fill up, you're going to be off. So 3 quarts is good enough. I'll crank it up, let it run just a little bit, just enough to get the oil flow into that filter, and then we check the eye out. It's in neutral. Oh, that's the horn. Wrong button. Here we go. It's cranking there. We're good. Okay, we can see here it's at the line. I have this center on that stand. It's on the bottom line. That's where the 3 quarts ended. So 3.6 is a little over half a quart. So we got to keep an eye there. And you can see right there, it says 3,000. That's what they're required for this motorcycle. Over there. Add a little more. You don't want to go over too much. If you go just a hair, it's not going to cause a problem. You don't want, it could build a little more pressure than you're supposed to have in the motor, so that's why you got a high side, and that's where they want you to stop just a little bit more. See where it stops there? It's kind of there. I might just put a tad, just a tad. You can stop there if you want. Okay, I'm good there. So guess what? That is 3.6. That's how you know. You could use measuring cups, thing unnecessary. Just keep it flat, make it simple, keep it simple. So okay, like, subscribe, tell a friend, and share. And we'll see you in the next video. And I gotta go because I gotta go for a ride.